Everybody, welcome back to the Calibrate Tools and DIY channel. Hope everybody's doing good. I know I'm a little bit late tonight. Sometimes it's like that. But hope you guys give me a pass on that one. So anyway, guys, we're going to jump right into it. It's not going to be a long one. I know I keep saying that, and you never know what it's going to be. Okay, but the title of this one is Impact Over Income. Now think about that, guys. Think about what I mean in that title. Impact over income. Is impact more important or is income more important? Well, I know I phrased it impact over income to, it kind of implies that impact is more important. But in actuality, income can be just as important if it's looked at with the proper perspective. Me, I'm an impact guy. Okay. So I'm all about leaving something or creating something that's going to matter once I'm gone. Right? Something that's going to outlast me in terms of helping other people. And really, that's the only purpose we have in this life, is to really help other people, right? And you got to decide who those people are. It can be, you can be trying to help the whole world, or you can focus on a certain demographic or wherever you see the problem is. So one of the reasons I started this channel is to address a certain issue, a certain problem I saw that was very apparent in my world, in society, and that was, the skilled trades were being underrepresented in the educational system, using tools, using your hands, stuff that used to be important before they took all that stuff away. Reason being is that the basic skills that I teach on this channel, which is mostly tool tutorials, this was what fed families back in the day. And so this is what built infrastructure, right? So if everything collapses, you're going to still have those skills to fall back on, to trade and barter, to build your communities and all that. And with the communities out there that are already underrepresented in the educational system, or at least underfunded, I thought it was a travesty that, that shop glass, was taken out of schools, right? It's like you're already crippling even further a community that's already hobbling just to get by in society. So for me, this channel is all about impact more than income. It's not like I make a ton of money on this channel, but I'm doing it for, like I said, more of an impact. It has a more of an impact driven purpose for me. And so you have to decide whatever you're doing out there in the world. And if you're making a lot of money, if you're doing pretty well, congratulations and more power to you. But at the end of the day, that's not going to satisfy every aspect of you. At some point, there's going to be a point of diminishing returns when it comes to making money, right? So let's just say all your needs are met. You got a house, you got a car, maybe you have a good, a family to come home to and all of that. And if you live for your kids and you live for your family, that's great. You know what I'm saying? That's great. That can be your purpose right there. But let's just say all your basic needs are met. Then what, right? There's something about human beings, is that we crave more, right? We crave more meaning. We crave more substance in our lives other than just making money. But most of us are running around just trying to pay the bills, so we don't have time to think about anything else. So that just dominates our lives, right? Just the rat race, just trying to. And even if you make money, some of us get so caught up in it that we're never satisfied. It's like a bottomless pit. We got to make more and more and more. So, but at the end of the day, like I said, one thing I've learned in my years on this planet is that you will never be satisfied if you go down a certain path, right? It's like a bottomless pit, just like I mentioned before. You think that thing satisfies you, and then all of a sudden it doesn't. And then you're seeking the next thing. And then once that's played out, then you're seeking the next thing. So it's like, it's almost like living in hell, really, because you're constantly chasing that high, or that thing that you think is going to make you happy, that thing is going to make you, fulfill you, when that's really not what it is, right? It's nothing material. Nothing material can fulfill you at the end of the day. Okay. material things are great, right? If it's providing food and shelter and maybe some good experiences, right? Like you get to see the world and travel. But I've traveled, I've saw certain parts of the world, and I can tell you right now, at the end of it, even that can get played out, right? You get tired of going from here to there because it's pretty much all the same everywhere in the world. Everybody's trying to, survive and live in their own perspective parts of the world, perspective countries, and all of that. So then you start to look within once you find out that um, that's not the ultimate high that you thought it would give you. Yeah, at the moment it gave you a thrill. You got that dopamine hit, but then you said, okay, I'm tired of it now. What can I do to satisfy that inner craving that I have that no material experience can give me, right? So you start to look within and you say, okay, um, I got everything I need. I got all the basics. I got the relationships. I got the things. I got the family and all of that. And you say to yourself, okay, what more can I do? And I think that's the inflection point right there that tells you that, hey, look, it's time to really think about what your purpose is, right? And when you find out what your purpose is, your whole life will change, right? The whole direction of your life may change. Your actions may change. That's if you take it seriously, okay? But once you sit down and realize how empty life can be with, chasing after material things, then you chase after things of real substance. And that is whatever your purpose is. And you can decide that for yourself. It doesn't have to be one static thing. You can have multiple purposes. But I think the ultimate purpose that everybody falls under is to serve somebody in some capacity. You could, whatever your talents are, whatever it is, you know, you may like to cook, right? Or you may like to, I don't know, you may like to teach, or you may like to sing, or whatever your talents are. You may be a good at tech or something like that. You may like to build, or what it can be just about anything. But everybody's given something, some kind of, I guess you want to say, gift to give to the world. And and once you figure out what yours is, instead of running around chasing the things that are not going to satisfy you, ultimately, you start to be led. Okay, you start to be led by your purpose, and like I said, your whole life may change. The people in your life that you had before you realize what your purpose is, they may fall away because they don't recognize the new person that you're becoming, right? Because now it's bigger than you, and I think that's it right there. It's bigger than you, because I think most of our lives we're chasing, chasing money or whatever, just trying to survive. And a lot of that has to do with ego, right? We're in survival mode, but a lot of that has to do with ego. We got to take care of ourselves, and it stretches a little bit beyond ego. We got to take care of our family, or whoever that we feel that's dependent on us. And, but once we're able to relax, right? Like I said, once we have our basic needs met, right? Then we start to, look, like I said, look within, and we start to explore more of ourselves that we never had time to look at before, because we were so distracted by life, right? So distracted by the rat race. And I think one of the most freeing experiences is when you can look within and say, okay, why am I here, right? What am I doing here? You sit down, you stay still. You got to be still for this, and you got to be still inwardly, is what I mean, right? Because this realization can come at any time. You can be driving the car, and you can get this realization. But once we have that realization that, hey, listen, I'm here for more than what I'm doing now, right? It's got to be more to this. That's the first step. And it's almost like you're dropping a weight, right? Because you forget, or you cast aside the weight of other people's expectations, or the weight of your own ego driven expectations, and you know you realize who you are, right? You got to better look at yourself. It's almost like looking in the mirror inwardly, and you really see how you look, and what you're made of, and then you start to realize why you did certain things in the past that you did, right? The mistakes that you made, and you a lot of maybe guilt from making these mistakes can drop away because you understand that you were a different person back then, all right? But now you pass through that stage or that phase, and you can cast that aside now because you learn from it, at least hopefully, right? Sometimes we got to make mistakes repeatedly in order to learn. That's just how it is. But at some point, at some point, you're going to learn from these mistakes and lessons. And I think one of the biggest, like I said, lessons you're going to learn is that, chasing the things that are not going to satisfy you is one of the biggest mistakes you can make. But I think we all have to make that quote unquote mistake or go through that phase before we realize why we're really here and what impact we're supposed to make. Okay. Now, once again, I'm not knocking the whole, making money or or anything like that. But that, I think, once you get to a certain point where you understand why you're really here and your true purpose, money or income then becomes a tool to fulfill that purpose, right? Whatever that is, right? It's not the end all be all, because once again, you'll never be satisfied. I don't care how much money you make, because there's always more to make, right? It's always going to be more, 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 more. And once you get off that more, more, more train and realize how, I don't want to say silly, but how empty that is and how much of a trick bag that is, then you start to you start to have a real freedom there, because most of the world is on that hamster wheel. Let's face it. Well, if you could step off that hamster wheel and see that money train, okay, the pursuit of income and money, and you just see it as a tool to fulfill your real purpose, whatever that is, then you're on the next level now. Now, a lot of that takes discipline, because you can fall back into that old mindset. I'm not saying this is a linear path. Okay, the path probably looks like this, where you're having these realizations, and then you fall back into the old ways, and then you climb back out of that hole, and then you fall back again. But as long as it's trending upwards, right? You're going to have you're going to slip a little every now and then, but as long as it's trending upward, then that's what matters. Okay, so I don't want to say meaning over money, but let's just say meaning it lasts longer than money, right? It's a long game. Okay, so I think making money. Making money can, like I said, should be integrated into your larger purpose, right? Because you need money in this world to survive, right? And you want to get beyond the survival mode into a service mode. So you're going to need money to serve people. I'm not going to say that in every act of service that you need money. You can serve people in all kinds of non-monetary ways. But if you have the income to serve people in a larger way that you couldn't have done otherwise, then yeah, money is a great tool. There's nothing wrong with that, right? So it works hand in hand there. Okay, I think most people that have made great impacts in the world, they had money, right? It's the wealthy people, right? And they're given that wealth for a reason, right? So yeah, it doesn't have to be versus or this or that. It can be work symbiotically together, right? Where money produces impact, and impact can also produce money, right? Can produce income. So it's all about playing the long game. A lot of times we can't see that far ahead because we're so worried about, okay, how am I going to pay next week's bills or whatever, right? So that's where our mind's focused on. So our decisions, our actions, are going to be short-term actions, right? Or going to be actions based on where our worries and fears are, right? And so, but if we can get beyond that and think longer term and get the fear and doubt out of our heads and understand that, hey, we are going to be successful. You put your mind to something, you're going to be successful. Then you start making moves. You start acting accordingly, right? Where somebody might look at you and say, okay, why are you doing that? Doesn't make sense. You need this, but you're thinking longer than they can see, right? So your action is going to look strange to them. It's going to look weird, right? And I think that's how you need to look at things, right? Because if you want to make an impact, that automatically implies long-term thinking, delayed gratification, investing, right? Investing time, investing money in something that somebody may not feel as that smart, but you can see the long game and they can't, because everybody can't see your vision, only you can, right? So yeah, it's once you start looking at what impact really means, and how it's going to shape you and make you into a different person that you didn't recognize, because impact requires that you change, right? Short-term thinking really doesn't, right? But if you want to make any kind of lasting impact, whether it's for you, your family, or larger society, you have to become somebody that's able to carry that right into the next phase, or at least pass the baton. And like I said, delayed gratification, discipline, motivation, all that stuff. By the way, discipline is more important than motivation, because motivation comes and go. It's a feeling, right? Discipline, it's not a feeling. It's either you do it or you don't. So it holds you more accountable when you're disciplined, right? So once these principles start to incorporate themselves into you more than just, okay, I gotta make that fast buck, or I gotta go work that 9 to 5, for a couple of weeks or however long now you think. But if you don't have a purpose, right, none of this stuff I'm talking about matters, right? If you don't have a vision as to why you're doing what you're doing and who you're doing it for and all that stuff, then none of what I'm saying makes sense. Okay. So the good thing about impact, though, once you start living to create an impact, you not only will you change, right, but you start attracting a different quality of people around you. Okay. Different opportunities open up to you. Okay. Because if somebody notices that you have a greater purpose for what you do, right, that sparks something in people that says, okay, I want to collaborate with that person. I want to work with that person. That person made me feel something that most people don't, right? They actually have a long-term vision for me, not just this. They don't even know me, but or my children, right, or my neighborhood, or my, whatever, and or my country or my nation, right? And this can go in a negative, positive way. You can take it how you want to take it. Depends on a person's motivations, but people are attracted to that, right? And if you're doing it for all the right reasons, you're going to get the right people. It's almost like a magnet. You're going to get the right people to come into your life to help you with that, whatever your vision is. And then, a magnet does not just attract people, it also repels, right? If you got a magnet, repels as well. It doesn't just attract. So remember, if you put two magnets and you turn them, the negative and negative they repel each other, right? So anyway, you will end up repelling, okay, people that are not good either. Now, not to say that they won't try, and you can attract all kinds of people, right? But at some point, if your energy is strong enough and you'll repel those who don't mean you any good, okay? Because the reason you're going to attract everybody, okay, is that everybody's attracted to what they can get. But if you're so the people that are attracted to what to you for surface things, like they may say, oh, this person, yeah, they got a mission, but yeah, it looks like a lot of money is going to be around them. Maybe I can get close to them so I can get something out of them, right? It's all transactional, right? So with those people, at some point, they will fall away, okay, when they realize that you're not just about that, okay, or certain circumstances may happen where your purpose will push them away as well, okay, and your purpose will bring those into your world that needs to be there, because once again, it's bigger than you, it's bigger than them, okay. I'm a firm believer in whatever you think your purpose is, it already knew who you were before you knew what it was, right? And you're just waking up to it, and now it can use you more or use you more effectively because now you're conscious of what it is. Before, like if you're unconscious of it, and you're really and you're the chosen one, so to speak, but you're still asleep to it, it may toss you around a little bit, move you here, move you there. But if you're not awake to it, it can't use you, right? But once you're awake to it, and say, oh, okay, now you're ready. Now I can use you in this capacity, right? So that's the magic of how things work. Okay. All right. So one more thing about impact I will mention here is that it changes how you measure your progress. Okay. So if your money is not right at the time, you may feel that you don't have the resources, the funds, and all of that, right? If you're really driven by impact, that's not going to stop you, right? You're not going to just give it up just like that. If you really understand what impact means, so it's going to make you like ask harder questions, like, okay, what it's going to ask you to dig deeper, right, into your arsenal of resources to make something happen. Because if you really want to make something happen, I don't care if you don't have any money. I don't care if you don't have any relationships. All that stuff on the surface appears in a person's life to help them because that person already decided that they're dedicated, they're committed to bringing whatever goal they had to fruition, right? To making it happen. And then things started happening around them. Now it may sound like like magic or whatever, but everything starts in the invisible first before it becomes physical, right? So everything starts up here. So if you're running around with a lot of doubt, a lot of fear, you're not confident in your goals, you kind of just don't know what you don't know where you're going or whatever like that, then your life is going to reflect that. So it doesn't matter how it looks on the surface, right? Or on the outside. That's not what matters. What matters is, okay, you made a decision. Number one, okay, this is how you're going to move. Okay, you're going to move for impact rather than just income. Okay, and then once you start moving for impact, then all that other stuff will come. All right. Let's see. Anyway, guys, that is my rant for the night. I appreciate you. It's a little mindset stuff. Every now and then I bring that on there. But that's really one of the main reasons I started the channel, as well as for DIYers, homeowners, people who like tools and stuff like that. Yeah, it's not, in other words, it's not just a tool channel. It's much more than that. So anyway, guys, I appreciate you. See you in the next one. Leave a comment if you like that. Very Good Life Notes says doubt and fear will hinder your purpose. Absolutely. Very Good Life Notes. Those are the biggest quote unquote devils people have to fight. But if you look at everything that has a positive and negative aspect to it, even doubt and fear can be tools as well, right? But because how can you use doubt and fear? Well, the way you can use doubt and fear is you can say to yourself, okay, well, I'll take that challenge, right? You can tell yourself, well, I'll take that challenge. You can challenge yourself to overcome that. And then you know, once you commit to that challenge, then guess what? Magically, the doubt and fear will fall away, right? Now, there's something that people say there's something called healthy fear, right, where you're very cautious and stuff like that. Yes, that's just wisdom. Yes, you should be cautious um, in this world, right, when you're approaching certain situations, and that's a healthy thing, right, to be like, okay, circumspect and say, okay, but you should not let that caution become too overwhelming where it paralyzes you from moving forward. Okay. But at the same time, you don't want to approach things blindly either, with too much arrogance and pride, thinking that you know everything, and then you end up losing everything. Right. So yeah, there's a balance there. But at the end of the day, you still have to move forward. Okay. And so, yeah, that's a very important point there. Resist and find how to use it to your benefit. Yes. And I like that you said resistance too, because these, I don't know, every time I go on a live, these dang sirens keep coming outside my window. I got to soundproof this place, but yeah, just let that go by for a second. Anyway, the reason I like the word resist and find out how to use it to your benefit, I like that, is because when you go to a gym, guess what you got to do? You got to lift weights. What are weights? Weights is resistance, right? Your muscles, your body will not grow, or your muscles will not grow unless you put some kind of resistance on them. And you can't become stronger if you don't have any kind of resistance. That's just, so there is a place for even resistance in all of its aspects, whether it's in the gym, in the physical world, spiritual world, your inner world, where you seem to be battling inner demons. Just think of it as a gym, right? That you're in, and that it's teaching you how to overcome and become stronger, right? Where that weight, that those weights that seem to weigh you down internally will no longer matter. They won't even seem like weights once you understand how to use them, right? Everything has potential to be used for good. Everything has power in them, even the so-called negative things. You just have to know how to extract the nutrients from whatever challenge that you face in life. And that's the test right there. I mean, let's face it, I think this earth is basically a school, right? Where you're going to be tested in all aspects, whether it's relationships, personal relationships, your relationships with yourself, and all of that. Okay. Your relationship with who you consider as a higher power. All that stuff's going to be tested, right? And once you understand that, then first of all, once you understand that it's a test, you already won half the battle right there. Okay. And you also have to understand that you're going to be tested until probably the day you get out of here. And that's just how it is. But your life becomes much easier once you understand every time you wake up in the morning, you're going to be tested in some form or fashion. Just the fact of getting out of bed is a test, right? You may not want to get out of bed. But once again, it circles back to the title of this live. Your purpose, your impact. What impact do you want to make? Right? Because if you were not here to make some kind of impact, would you even wake up? I mean, who controls the fact that you wake up in the morning, right? Nobody on earth can tell you why you wake up in the morning or why you're still here when so many other people have passed on, right? And you're still here. So it must be a reason why you're still here. It must be, you're not just living aimlessly. We may not know all the secrets of how things work in the universe, but understand this, there's no accidents, right? And so there's no accident that you're here now listening to me. Okay. So yeah, once you start living for impact, your perspective changes. I think your life changes, your purpose changes, the reason you get out of bed changes. And it doesn't mean you're not gonna have challenges, right? You're gonna have challenges, yes, but you will be able to deal with those challenges from a more powerful, position, because you're living from a more powerful place, which is impact, not just income. Test is resistance in action. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. For the purposes of becoming stronger and evolving. That's what a test does, right? Takes you to the next level, right? So anyway, guys, that's it. Appreciate you. Thanks, Burger Latinos, for coming on and chiming in. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Don't forget, check out the catalog. Peace.